This is a video on how to diagnose and replace your alternator. This is a 1986 RAV4, and this is the voltage at the battery. Just it standing, one on the negative terminal, and make sure there are good connections. And I just put a jumper on this one, make it easier. So we got 12.37, and here's the alternator. This is the one that goes to the battery to charge it, and another electrical connection, and your drive belt there. And basically the symptoms on this car is the battery light just came on the dash, and so far that's the only symptom. So let's note the voltage right there and start up the car. Now when the car is running, it should be around 14 and a half volts. And so I'm gonna start up the car, and with the engine started, I'm gonna disconnect the negative terminal of the battery, and the car, if it's a good alternator, the car should continue to run. So I'm gonna go start up the car right now. Okay. See, you can see the battery light on right there, and that's the seatbelt light and the door open. So don't pay. And so let's go see our voltage. Let's see. My lead go up. Okay, put it back on. And we have 12 volts, which isn't good. Should be, like I said, 14 or so, 14 and a half. And this is what the engine started. And now with if I rev the engine at the throttle here, it should go up. So actually it's going down, because right now the car is just running on the sole power basically of the battery, and it's just draining the battery. So I'm going to take this negative terminal off the battery, and if the engine dies, then you definitely have a bad alternator. Take it out. And there it goes. It's dead. Bad alternator, and I am going to replace it now. Take off this. There's a connection right here. You slide that off. There's an adjusting bolt here, and another bolt right here that locks it on. One right there, and I'm going to go ahead and do that and show you the rest. And one more thing, I'm going to show you another how you could read voltage. There's the meter, got one lead on the negative, and now I'm going to put my other positive lead on the alternator. This is the battery. This is where it makes power. Put it there, and 12 volts. That's another way to read voltage. And one more thing before you start disconnecting the alternator and start to change it, make sure you disconnect the negative terminal of the battery. Okay, just got the alternator out, and this bolt here goes through the alternator. That's a 14, and this one, let's see, right here is a 12, and right here that is a 12, I believe. That's the belt tensioner, and it took to loosen that up, push the alternator down, and this is the belt. I just have a bungee holding it up, but it doesn't really matter if you drop it. It doesn't look like it's hard to get back on there. And there was this electrical bracket on the alternator. That's a 8, and you just take all those bolts off and wiggle it up and wiggle it out of this frame here with the bolts out, and that's how you get it out. Okay, here is the new starter, and here's the old one right next to it. I got this one on Amazon. This is 100% brand new, and I got it on Amazon because it's almost half price for a rebuilt one that you would typically get at the auto parts store. And it's 100% brand new, so you don't have to mess with turning in the core or anything like you would at the auto parts store. It's all brand new. It looks good. This one was about $87. I mean, it's all 100% brand new. It is made in China, but for the price you're getting, for 100% brand new, it's even cheaper than a rebuilt one from the parts store. And this is a quality built brand. It has a 2-year road assistance and free technical support, and it's well packed. So everything looks good on it, and I'm gonna give you the warranty info. I suppose save your receipt and all that, and I am going to put it in now. And one thing if your car won't start because the battery was completely drained from the bad alternator, you would have to put the battery on a charger before you do this, because you don't want to put a big load on the alternator when you put the new one in. But this battery still starts the car, and it still has 12.5 volts in it, so I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to put it in right now, and I'll show the rest. So I was trying to put the new one in, and it didn't want to go in. Let's see if I get a good shot of it. Where is it? It didn't want to go in because there was like a sleeve inside this hole that was sticking out. So I had to get a hammer and a screwdriver to kind of punch it back through that side. I don't know if you could see it. There's like a sleeve inside the hole, so I had to push it out towards the passenger tire, so that way the new alternator could slide in without being stuck by that little sleeve that's sticking out. Okay, I just got the alternator in, and what you do is you put that big bolt on, let's see, my finger right there, and leave this one down here off, and this alternator wedges on this side, and then it fits in between here once you get that sleeve pushed back the other way. And you leave that bolt off down here, so that way you can get the belt on. And once you get the belt on, make sure it's on there good on the bottom 2 pulleys. Make sure it's it's on track. And then right here is where you make the belt tighter. This is 12 mil, and you just tighten it until you get the belt pretty snug. I like to do them about a 1/4 inch of play between the two for this pulleys, And then once you get the belt where you want it, then you just go ahead and tighten that bolt and put the bolt back in. Before you tighten the belt, make sure you put this bolt in loosely. Then you could tighten the belt and make sure it's on the track good. And make sure, and then you put the wire connector there. This is for the battery. It goes between the two nuts there to make that kind of snug. There's a bracket for this wire connection here. You gotta take that little nut off and put this on. That's 8mm, and this wire connection, this kind of clamps, goes in the connector there. And I just put some cloth electrical tape because the old insulation just broke off because it's old and brittle. And I'm gonna start up the car and I'm gonna show you how it runs. Make sure everything's good, make sure you got all your stuff out of here, make sure we got everything, and you tighten up all the bolts there. Make sure those are pretty snug, and I'm gonna start it up right now and see how it runs. Okay, started the car and everything seems to be working fine. I put my meter on the battery. We got 14.5 volts, which is good. And so that's the battery. So let's give you the battery 14.5 volts. And now what you could do is take one lead off, the positive lead off, and we'll go. I'll put it directly on the alternator connector. We put it right there. And you can see the alternator is putting out that much voltage, 14.5, and now I'm going to disconnect the negative battery, and it won't, the car won't shut off. So there we go. Just a little change in noise there because the alternator does have a little load because it's charging the battery back up. Put it back on. And that's it for this project. I'm waiting for changing the alternator. Just gotta put that thing back on, and that'll be it. And I hope this video helped, and thanks for watching.